Hey, everybody. Thanks for your patience. Here we go. Ready to dive right in. I had a whole panel planned, but fortunately, the last panelist standing is someone that I've been dying to dive deeper into. She's got multiple books and has been an extraordinary participant in our Kindle Flash sales. So, got so many questions of her. Without any further delay, let me introduce this week's interview. What would you rather have? A bestseller screenshot or 3 conversations with ideal prospects? As an entrepreneurial author, I know what I would say. I would take the conversations. Now, there's nothing wrong with wanting your book to become a bestseller. It feels good. I've done it 37 times during the launches of my 4 books. But while it gives you something to celebrate and share, if you wrote your book to grow your business, the bestseller status shouldn't be the only way you measure success. I'd rather know that your launch reconnected you with a former colleague who now wants to introduce you to a potential client, or that someone on your launch team invited you to speak, or that a reader reached out because your book helped them realize you're exactly the person they need to hire. Now, those outcomes may not show up on an Amazon bestseller list, but they can have a much bigger impact on your business. That's why I encourage authors to think about what they actually want their book to accomplish before they plan the launch, and honestly, before they even start writing the book. Once you know the business outcomes you're working toward, you can build a launch strategy designed to create them. If you'd like help creating a launch strategy that generates reviews and creates a pipeline from your book to your business, you can schedule a complimentary 30-minute book launch brainstorming session at booklaunchbrainstorm.com. And now I get to have a one-on-one with Judi Lawrence. She's the author of Your Passport to Apostees, 116 Tips to Build a Thriving Business as an Apostee Agent, a practical guide for notaries and entrepreneurs who want to understand apostee work and build a profitable specialty service around it. Please join me in welcoming Judi. Judi, welcome to the show. You've got a really interesting career, and I wanted to give a shout out to Bill Soroka as we get started. Bill introduced me to you and a lot of other great notaries I've gotten to know from you, and Laura Biewer have also introduced me to some great notaries. And you all are out there building businesses, writing books. You've got how many books? 4 books? 5 books?
I have, this is number 5.
5 books. The fact that you have to pause to count them tells you something. Yeah.
Yeah, they're it's fun to write them. To me, it's a learning experience. To me, you learn what you learn
As you're writing it.
you're writing about,
Mm-hmm.
and you just do. And as you're sitting there typing, you just learn.
You have a niche within a niche, within maybe even another niche, like the way you created this book. And even before we went live, I asked you one more time, how do I pronounce the term apostille? And you were like, there's like 5 ways of saying it, but we'll say it the French way. That obviously that's a slice of what you do. You're also very much positioned in the notary world and in larger entrepreneur world. Who's the audience for that particular book, and does it differ from the other? Do each of your books have a specific reader in mind, or is there sort of a general audience related to
Well,
them?
the first book I wrote, which I co-authored with Daniel Lewis, and that was back in 2018. And that one, we targeted new notaries because
Mm-hmm.
we had things in there like if you need an EIN number or if you need, whatever you need. I mean,
Brand new.
and I just happened to have talked to Daniel this week, and we're going to update it because that was 2018 and this is 2027. And some of it's the same. I mean, an EIN number is the same, but a lot of it, some of it is, has changed over the years. So that one. Um, the other books have really targeted notaries, and the, I like to say it this way: new ones, experienced ones, and even notaries or even people who aren't notaries who want to get into the apostille business. And I have to tell you, Robbie, when I first started talking about apostilles, nobody even knew what I was talking about. It was really not something people would say, "What is that?" And and now it seems that it has its own market, and all the notaries want to do apostilles.
So tell me if my understanding this is wrong. Like a notary, we're familiar with. Like the last time I worked with a notary, I was buying a home. And
Hmm.
so the day of the close, I had to sign
Right.
huge stack of paperwork,
Right.
and there was a very kind notary who basically flipped a piece of paper and pointed to where I had to sign,
Right.
and flipped a piece of paper and pointed where I had to
Right.
sign, and just and held space while I was nervously, I was like I
Right.
was like on the precipice of something. That's a
Right.
really exciting
That
thing.
notary was supposed to not point. That was before they pointed. They were supposed to give you like a one, two sentences about
Oh
what you.
yeah, right. Explained
Right.
exactly. Explained
Right.
like give me basically like shepherded me through a
Mm-hmm.
process that is
Mm-hmm.
very unfamiliar to me because I don't go around buying houses all the time. I also know Laura B where she has found a niche working with people who are doing compassionate work
Mm-hmm.
and recognizing that there's like a layer of like I mean buying a home is usually
Right.
like an exciting moment, but there's also times where notaries are brought into hospital settings.
Yes.
So okay, great. There's that so we kind of understand notaries, like you're proving who you are, but then there's international work, and
Right.
that's where I think like the apostille,
That's yeah.
like I never really thought about. There has to be something regulating signing contracts between countries.
Well, it's
So
not
help me
signing
understand
contracts
that.
between countries so much as it's what people need. So, for example, if you wanted to go to school in Argentina and you decided you're going to give up the United States and you're going off to school in Argentina, you might need your passport or your birth certificate uh, or the deed to your house or whatever they ask for. Because you have to open up a bank account in Argentina and you have to rent an apartment in Argentina and you have to go to school in Argentina. So there are a whole lot of things you might have to do. Excuse me, if you're going to go to Argentina now, the 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 amazing part about this whole thing is they have to be told what they need. So the recipient tells them what they need, and sometimes they don't know why, and sometimes they don't. They come to us or me and say, "Tell me what this is. Tell me why I need this." Um, but that's what it is. It's
It's the
all.
education.
It's if they're adopting a child from overseas,
Mm,
they need about 20 or 30 apostees.
wow. Okay.
If it's a destination wedding, um, they usually need two or three. So there's a whole list of things that they might need, and that is what we do.
I have to tell you, we're just doing a little education up front about this because usually I don't have time to ask you more
I
in-depth
know.
questions.
That's
But I
good.
think, wow, I, I think because we live in a global environment, like we need to know that there are people available to us
Mhm.
to guide us through these processes. And notaries are a good example of the kind of people who would be a good fit for that. But as you said, not necessarily having to be a notary to do that work. Um, what this makes me think of? This is going to be a really odd comparison, but when I went to Disney for the first time, I discovered that as part of my ticket, I had access to somebody who would, for free, like set me up for success, whatever that meant for me and my family.
Okay.
And I just found them through this service. And I was like, what do you mean I don't pay you? They're like, no, I get paid when you buy the ticket through me. And then I just take care of all the things. And they're like, is it extra? They're like, no, it's built into the ticket price. I'm like, and I compared the prices and I was like, oh, you're like a doula. You're like moving me through a process. I've never done this. I want to get it right. And yeah, it's like, how do
Yeah.
you find the right people?
Can I tell you my favorite Disney marketing story? And it is. I tell it all the time. I took a marketing course years ago, and they're the best marketers anywhere. They really are. They want you to come back with your family again and again and again, and they know how to do that. But if you're standing on a street corner and you go up to a Disney employee and you say to that Disney employee, "Hey, what time is the 3 o'clock parade?" They are not permitted to say to you, "It's at 3 o'clock." They're not permitted to look at you, roll their eyes. They have to say something like, "If you walk over there and you stand there and wait about 10 minutes, it's going to come by." So they can't make you feel foolish. Like, they can't say, "What do you mean, what's the 3 o'clock parade?" You know, but if you go over there and you stand there for about 10 minutes, you're going to catch it. And when you think about it, and I always talk about this when I teach my classes, that's what we have to do with apostees. We have to be able to understand that they don't understand.
Right.
They
That,
don't.
that we're
So
going to
we
ask
have
a question that sounds really silly in the face of it,
right.
but there's an underlying question, which in the Disney example might be, where's the best spot to catch the 3 o'clock
But that's not
parade?
what they ask.
How
They ask
far
where
away is
when
it?
is the 3 o'clock
Yeah,
parade?
right. So
And
we have
we
to,
have to be able to know that when we're dealing with
yeah,
somebody who's going to have a destination wedding and they barely speak English, and then they call and they say, I'm gonna need my birth certificate and one other document, and you have to be able to say to them, oh, well, you're getting married, and then they go, oh, she understands, she knows, and then they come down and they get their apostees. So it is marketing, like when you're dealing with the public as much as we do, is it's tricky.
So how did you go from doing notary and apostille work on like a you personally to starting to really build a business around teaching? I mean, that's a
Well,
different skill set, it's a different
it is.
interest, energy, all that.
Well, when I first started doing the work, nobody knew what I nobody. There wasn't a course, there wasn't a teacher. I was the only one, and I loved doing it because I love people and I loved doing it. I will say now that everybody's a teacher now. I don't know if you follow Facebook, but everybody's a teacher now, and they it is different, and not a lot of people want training because they feel that they can pick it up like on Facebook or whatever. So the training aspect of it is different.
How long ago did you start teaching?
I think about 6 years.
So it's changed that quickly.
No, it basically changed more in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
It has, and I call it, my pet name is at Facebook University, and they send a document, they post a document, and they say, I'm an apostille agent. What do I do with this document? And they get 50 people who tell them, and out of those 50 people, 48 of them don't know. But it's different.
Yeah.
It's
It's
just
amazing what you've created just in 8 years. Since
yeah,
2018, your first book comes
yeah,
out. You've done 5 books since
yeah.
2018.
Mhm.
You've built up, it sounds like, multiple different services and trainings and offers.
Yeah.
What were you doing before all of this? Before
Before
2018, were you already in the notary space, or did you
I
come up
was
through
in the
business?
notary
Or
space. My story is that I was a paralegal and a legal secretary, and
Mhm.
I got laid off, and I did not know what I was going to do with my life. It was a terrible thing, and not going to go into that whole story today, but I will be happy to with you some other time. Um, I didn't know what I was going to do because there were no jobs around. The downsizing had already, begun, and that's why we got laid off because of downsizing. There were a lot of us, and then I, similar to you, except I wasn't buying a house. I was selling my condo, and a woman walked in, and if she could ever listen to this, I could never find her again because her name was Vicky, and I always wanted to thank her because she came in and she did the closing, and I paid her a lot of money. And then I said, well, if I just paid her, why aren't they paying me? Because I know how to do all this. Because I was a secretary and a paralegal, and I could do it. And so then I started to do all that, and then um, I met this wonderful older man, and he wanted to sell his name. He didn't have much of a business, but he had a name, had a great name, Center City Notary. So I bought the name, started the business, and then the third tier is I met Bill.
Bill
And
Soroka?
Bill and I did a podcast together. I don't know the exact year, but we did a podcast together, and that drew a lot of it because at that time, podcasts were, everybody was doing pod. I mean, I think they still are, but that drew a lot of attention to me. And so that's kind of what,
This
what.
is all in the last decade.
Hmm.
Wow. I what's really cool is that you're building on life experience,
Hmm.
things you already had an education about. You're
Hmm.
seeing someone else do something and thinking, well, why not me? Wait a second. Why can't I do that? And then you went and did it. I think so many people think a thing, but you actually did a thing, which is really cool.
I think it's the next book that I will write, and it's going to be next year, but I haven't even started it yet. But I am going to write it, and I'm going to write it about it's never too late because it isn't. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter. We have a lot of notaries who life dealt them a hard blow. Their husband died, their wife died, somebody left them. A lot of these notaries, I give them so much credit. I have so much respect for them because they do a hard day's work as a notary, and then they go home and they got to take care of kids, and
Mhm.
do all kinds of things. And you have to know that if you're willing to work hard, you can do it. And that's my book for next year.
I really think the fact that and I remember because I hosted the virtual notary conference for California. That the I'm now forgetting exactly the name of it. Laura
Yeah, the
Beaver had,
symposium.
yeah, her notary symposium. Thank
Right.
you. Back in the pandemic, she
Right.
hosted that a number of times, and I loved how her and you and Bill talked about this as a business,
Hmm.
and as you talked about yourself as an entrepreneur.
Hmm.
And it wasn't true for everyone that I was meeting. And I think you're helping them all start to situate themselves as being the entrepreneur and
Hmm.
as being a business owner, which is we're adding another skill like apostille work, or
Right. Right.
adding like an angle like work with compassion, like hospices, like just finding a niche within the world. I mean, I just think
Hmm.
it's taking from your own personal experience what would be make the
Hmm.
most sense. I'm so grateful there are guides like you in this
Thank you.
industry,
Well, it's
because
hard.
I
It's
think as
hard.
people get started, they can't see beyond like, I passed the piece of paper and now I can like do like it's the impact of people in those hard moments. I think
It's
that's the thing
hard.
that's
It's
really
very
cool.
hard. You during the pandemic, I believe this is just my opinion, transparency, only my opinion. Well, other people too, but I'm the one that's here right now. Um, they were told, become a notary. You can make your own schedule. You can you can work when you want, how you want. You make a lot of money. Um, that's not true. I mean, you can't make your own schedule. It's your clients that make your schedule. Your clients tell you, I need this and I need it tomorrow and whatever. The Secretary of State is your boss because if you send things to them and they're not right, then they send them back and they say rejected, sorry. And then if you decide that you're not going to work so hard, they can find somebody else.
Right.
They can't. There's so many notaries out there that they can find somebody else. So, in order to be successful, you have to be willing to work hard. And
Yeah.
if you're willing to work hard, I say everybody can do it.
What led you to do the first book? Because that's an outlier thing to do. I mean,
Um,
you're busy running a business. You're doing the work.
well,
You're
the first
educating
book.
people. Yeah. How did you get into the
Well, the
books?
first book because Daniel Lewis called me on. He was on LinkedIn, and then I don't know. He called me on the phone. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know Daniel. I didn't know the NNA. I didn't
You
know
were just
anybody.
out there doing this
I
work
was
as a
just out there,
notary, unplugged. Interesting.
and then Daniel actually convinced me to come to the first NNA conference.
National Notary Association.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's how I met everybody. I met
Yeah.
everybody.
You said yes, basically, to the idea of
Yeah,
going,
I
though.
did. It was in Las Vegas. I got
Wow.
myself up there, and I didn't know a soul except him. But he knows everyone, so that's why I met Nicola and everybody. And I haven't missed a conference since, and I've spoken at several of them. Um, so he and I wrote that book, and then I mean, I'll listen to anybody. I'll listen to anybody if they think they have a good idea. Yeah, of course, I can't sit down and write books all day because I have a business to run. But I am writing. It's pretty much written. I hope I get to publish it before the fall or in the fall. Um, the one of the things that notaries don't understand about apostees is how to price them.
Mm.
They don't. And I made a rule the first class I taught that I would never tell anybody what to charge. Because it could be price fixing, it could be a whole lot of things. But this book is it's about how to learn what to charge. It's about how to how to put your base price together. It's all kinds of things. It's really good. Um, and but there's nothing in there that tells them how to charge.
You basically saw another gap in the market
Yeah, I did.
and you thought, okay, I can fill that. And
I did because it's their number one question now. What do
yeah,
I charge? And so it's a book that doesn't tell them what to charge,
right.
but tells them how to figure out what to charge.
So what I think is interesting is you've got this wonderful virtuous cycle where you're teaching. In the process, you're learning what people's questions are.
Hmm.
You're creating books to fill
Hmm.
that gap. The
Hmm.
books are attracting people back to you who need to learn more from you because you're the trusted expert.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then
Yeah,
and on and on. And
yeah.
so,
I mean, I wrote a book called Jitters. It's the best thing I have. It's only 40 pages, and it's about and it costs $4.99 on Amazon.
uh,
Trust me, I didn't do this to make money, but it's about after they take the course, and then the phone rings for the first time, and they don't know what to do. They go, oh, I don't. So they get Bill actually named it. I wrote it myself, but Bill actually named it Jitters, and it talks about what to do and what to say and how to handle those first calls. And
oh,
that's one of the most popular books I have. I mean, everybody buys Jitters.
well, yeah.
Everybody loves Jitters.
What a great book to buy as a gift, too.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
feel like if I knew someone was going through the process, I'd
Mhm.
have this book ready to
Mhm.
hand off to them.
Mhm.
I could
Mhm.
see so many instances where books like that for like your first three calls, for
Yeah.
any industry. But like this is
Yeah.
cool that you're able to translate
Yeah.
this. I can almost see it as a one act play,
It-
you
It's
know?
it's it's such a good book. It's like I tell them, um, you never say to them, and they all do. But you never say to them, "Well, I'm brand new, and let me see if I can try to figure this out." You say, "Oh, thank you so much. Now let me write down exactly what you need, and I'm with a customer, and I'll get back to you in 1 hour." And then, if you want to, you can hang up and scream, but then you can figure out somebody to call to help you or do it yourself. And I use a lot of examples of,
Yeah.
would you call a doctor's office? And if they said, um, if you called the doctor's office and you said, I need to get my knee fixed, and they said, well, we have Dr. Robbie Samuels, but he's brand new, he's never done a knee before, but I'm sure you'll like him. um, you're you're not going to probably say okay. You're probably going to say, well, is there anybody there that
Yeah.
has done a knee?
I really like the idea of getting back to them. I've shared this before, but
Hmm.
at the very beginning of the pandemic, I was hosting No More Bad Zoom virtual happy hours,
Okay.
and starting March 13th, 2020 was my first
Hmm.
one.
Hmm.
So I was hosting these weekly events, and people would come on and they'd pose questions in the chat.
Hmm.
And at first, I knew very little about how Zoom worked and the settings. So I would send them to a breakout room for 10 minutes with a question to all talk
Right.
to each other. And in the 10 minutes, I would search Google, YouTube, and Zoom's website, pull a bunch of links, come up with a basic hypothesis for
Yeah,
their
it's
answer.
funny.
They'd come on, and I'd say, okay, I see a question in chat. And I would say, well, here's how I would approach it. Here are some links for you to do some more research.
Mhm.
Now, a few months go by, I know every answer,
Right.
right off
Right.
the top of my head because I've been asked basically the same 12
Sure.
questions over and over again. But at the very beginning, that's how I handled that gap and how I got past the jitters.
Absolutely.
just needed to be a page ahead, and it quickly I was
Absolutely.
way ahead.
And you have to have this positive voice and say,
Yeah.
oh, well, if it's for India, you have to say, oh, I have done many things for India. By the way, I need to write down exactly what you're doing, and I'm sitting here with a client, but I'm going to get back to you in an hour. And that gives you an hour to figure it out.
Hmm.
And that's what Jitters is all about.
That's
And
smart.
they love Jitters. Oh my God, everybody
I
loves
feel like anyone listening could probably think of writing that for their own, industry.
They
If
can
they're
buy it.
onboarding a
Yeah,
new
right,
team
exactly.
member, like
Exactly.
how do you help people get through those first
Right,
few
right,
interactions, build that confidence up?
right.
Sales? Oh my God, anyone doing any kind of sales,
And that's something that AI can't help you with.
right?
It can't. They can tell you what to do, but they can't help you with the confidence.
Yes,
Confidence is something that you have to build.
right.
And that's why I'm writing this book. It's called, what's it called again? Um,
The new
the
book?
price, is the price right?
Hmm.
No, something like that. Is the price right?
We'll have
And
that when it comes out. Tell us.
yeah,
I'll add it
yeah,
to the
yeah,
show
yeah,
notes.
yeah. And that's
Uh,
why I'm writing it, because I feel it's another Jitters. It's
yeah,
like add your costs up. It doesn't have a dollar sign in it. It doesn't say you can charge $1 for this or $2. Doesn't
right.
have a dollar sign in it, because I just pitched it to the NNA to see if they want me to talk about it at the conference this year, and it doesn't have any
You got to be careful
numbers in
about
it.
that. I know the
Right.
National Speakers Association has a similar thing. Like we can't get into the price fixing and talk about numbers in
That's
those
what I think.
settings.
That's
Yeah,
why I don't
that's
think they're
smart.
going to do it. Right.
When you went to that first NNA National Notary Association conference in Las Vegas, that
Mhm.
seems like it was like a big leap for you.
It
Like,
was.
what was the yes behind that?
What was the yes behind that to
Yeah,
go?
I mean that like
I
well,
don't know. I can't. Daniel was like, "Oh, I'm buying a new." I remember. I hope he hears this. I remember he said he was buying a new jacket, and he said, and it sounded like fun,
sound
and
like
it
fun, and
said,
you were game.
and
I
I
mean,
was
that's the
game.
part that's cool is like
Yeah,
opportunities don't come to people if they don't seek
right.
them and then say yes to
And
them,
let me tell you something. Not everybody can afford to go to conferences.
right?
Conferences are expensive, but if you can go to one or two, you can make contacts. I think the second year I had met these two women, and then the second year I think we had a panel and we did a presentation together. You make contacts,
Right.
and that's what this is all about. Because let me tell you something, it takes a village. You know, notaries in Utah might need a notary in Pennsylvania, or notary in Delaware might need a notary in Pennsylvania, just like I need one in Delaware. And as long as you know these people, you can get your work done.
Right.
And that's what these conferences, they're so good. And the NNA is a great conference. They do it right.
I had to make some decisions about attending author conferences this fall, and I'm signed up for several of them, including a big one in Las Vegas, since you mentioned that, called Author Nation. And I was really like, oh, it's going to be like 12 or 1,400 people, and but I literally wrote a book, Judy. My first book is about networking at conferences. So I was like, okay, if anyone can like figure
Yeah,
out how to make this work for me.
right,
But
right,
I did have little moments of like, okay, how am I going to make sure that I don't just show up, right? I think you have to take advantage of the moment, but you have to prepare for it. I love
well,
that you very quickly got to the part where you were speaking
I
at
don't know that
these.
I would have done it if I didn't know that I was going to have a friend out there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that I would have done it,
But
but
that
I'm
friend
sure.
was someone who reached out to you on LinkedIn, right? It wasn't
Yes.
like a close
No, that's
colleague.
how we became friends.
Right. So
On
like that's the other thing. It's you have to be visible enough that someone can find you
Yes,
so you can build an
absolutely,
alliance with one person in your
absolutely.
industry. The story of how you got in, because I only know you kind of on the flip side where
Right,
you're like one of the people
right.
everyone's talking
And then
about.
I don't know if you know that Bill called me one day and he said, "Oh, I finally got a hold of you. I've been calling you and calling you." I said, "No, you haven't. You've never called me before." And he laughed and I laughed, but that's when he said, "I'd like you to be a guest on my podcast." I didn't even know who Bill was. I didn't. I mean, he's one of my best friends now and certainly my mentor. but I didn't even know who Bill Soroka was, and boy, am I lucky that he knew me. He saw me.
Bill
And
Soroka and I happened to be in the same author program in 2017 when I was working on my first book, Croissants versus Bagels, Strategic, Effective, and Inclusive Networking at Conferences. And we, hit it off a little bit, and then we sort of lost touch. And then he pops up again when Laura Beware reaches out to
right,
me about her notary symposium.
right,
And suddenly she's talking about Bill Soroka. And I'm like, is it the same Bill Soroka?
right.
And he has built an empire helping
Oh,
entrepreneurs,
he's
and
amazing.
he's so smart and generous.
He's so
And so
smart
getting reconnected with
and
him,
very
love that,
generous with his time.
with his time, but also co-authoring books with both
Yes,
you and Laura, and
yes,
which is helpful, to have
yeah,
co-authors as you're getting started.
absolutely.
She went on to write her own book. You're writing your own books.
Right.
This is a wonderful way in. If any authors out there want to help other authors, sometimes co-authoring is the right answer. Sometimes it's just
It
being the
is because
mentor
you
to an
have to
author.
get used to it. There's a way of doing it, and you have to get used to it. And
You've done
I'm
it 3
ready.
times. Would you still recommend it?
What?
Writing,
Co-author?
co-authoring, yeah.
I'm ready to try one by myself.
But you recommend the idea of it. You've
I
done it
think
3
I
times, so I
think
feel
the
like you've got
first
more
time
data
I
points.
think the first time it's great to have a co-author,
Mhm,
because you can bounce things off of each other,
mhm.
and you can sometimes when you write something, and I know you're going to agree with me because you've written enough books. Sometimes you write something and then you read it a couple days later and you're like, nah, this doesn't make any sense.
Mhm.
I don't like the flow.
Right.
I don't like the flow. I don't like the way it goes. And so I do think in the beginning, I do think it's good to have a co-author, but there are a lot of people that can do it themselves.
Or just having a mentor or someone who can, like,
Right,
guide you, because
right,
the process is so overwhelming and
right, right,
you don't know what to ask. Um,
right.
I just think you've so quickly built uh, a knowledge base, a following. Speaking of which, you're here on the call on this interview because you are part of the Kindle Flash sale,
Yes.
and multiple times now you've had more partner clicks. So we have these links that we have partners share.
Because between
Um,
us,
your
because
network, your
our
your
network is really
your
good.
your email list in particular, really responsive. And it's
Yeah.
very interesting to think about because the book you're putting in is about the book we just talked about, apostille work. And so it's like super niche. Like but
But
who's your audience? Like, who are the people following you on your emails? Are
our
they
our
wanting to be
audience
notaries or?
is new notaries,
Mhm.
experienced notaries, and people who have a business and want to add service.
And they're okay. So this is interesting because the authors in the Kindle Flash sale have books in. Some are in about writing and publishing books. Like, that's one small little
Right,
topic.
right, right,
We have a small topic on personal transformation. We have business communication, which are books for entrepreneurs, and then we have workplace leadership and communication.
right.
So sort of more corporate stuff. And so your audience has been like very responsive because clearly you have a
They are.
broad swath
And
of
and I'm
people.
not and I'm not certainly. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that are recognized,
Mhm.
but I think that I'm recognized, and they want to hear what I have to say.
They're trusting you.
They're trusting me,
Yeah.
and they want to, and that's why I'm writing this book about pricing,
Yes.
because they want to hear what I have to say about it. And now they call me and they say, I know, you're not going to tell me what to do, because I don't tell them what to do. I never tell them. I never tell them. Even the ones I'm close with, we never give dollar amounts. We never say, well, if somebody calls you for this, you could charge them that, because you don't really know. Because the apostille world is funny. Um, Maybe they need them tomorrow, and that's one price. And maybe they don't need them for 6 weeks, so that's another price. And maybe they need them notarized, but maybe they don't. So
Right.
there's like so many. Yeah. So in my book with I guess it was in the I'm not sure which book, the first time I, oh no, it wasn't in my book, it was in my course. And I came up with the Judi Lawrence toothpaste theory. And every time I would say it, people would do just what you did. And I would say, okay, if you're in the pharmacy, if you're in a pharmacy and you need toothpaste, then you call and you say, I want a case of Crest, I want a case of Colgate, I want a case of Sensodyne, and put them in a box and send them to me and invoice me. Apostille isn't like that. It goes to different countries. Some are hay countries, some are non-hay countries, some are this, some are that, some are something else. It is not.
You're actually proving why people aren't supposed to figure this out on their own, and why people write books. So both things are true. I
Yeah,
feel like by writing a book, part of our job writing books is to help people recognize and become aware of the larger problem.
I
Like when you
agree.
first get into this work, you might have some sense that there might be some issues, but then you're like, no, like let me let me point out all the hazards in the road and how to navigate them.
Yeah, and that was the
Yeah.
Judy Lawrence toothpaste theory. And I said, you there are so, and even when people text and they say, I need two apostilles, can you tell me? It's so hard to do that. It's like too many threads.
Right.
Well, where are you going to use them? Well, what are they? Well, where are you going to use them? Who's going to notarize them? What are you going to do? It's very difficult. It's
Is there a
easier.
bit of project management in this role? Are you managing other people to get things done by a certain time? It's like,
No, I'm not. But I do have people. We have people.
well, I mean, like if something has to be notarized in order for something else to move forward, are you part of nudging people to move
Yes.
forward? Or so
Yeah.
you're managing
Yeah.
that part. I mean,
Yeah.
just thinking like that's why it adds to the complexity.
Yeah.
Are you on a book a year? Is this sort of a commitment?
I don't know.
It feels like.
I don't know. I'll see after pricing gets done. I really want to write this book. It's never too late.
Mhm.
I really do, because I know a lot of people know my story, but a lot of people don't. And I really want to be able to say to people, if if something happens and your life gets turned upside down, it's not too late. But
Yeah.
you have to be willing to really work hard. When I when I tell you, I live in the city. I live in Center City, Philadelphia. Well, you're a Philly,
Yeah. I'm in the Philly area.
and I'm at 15th and Locust, so you know there's a Dunkin' Donuts across the street. So I used to walk to Dunkin' Donuts and do their notaries in Dunkin' Donuts.
Of course.
Because at that time every notary was money. And I didn't have a job,
And that was your job.
and that was my job. Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
and
you also, with Matt Miller, I just want to call out the Apostille Agents Survival Guide.
right.
That was the first
That
book.
was Matt and I wrote that. Right.
And the incredible thing about this book is that you have 278 global ratings, and from that, let's see, 100 written reviews. So congratulations on 100 written
Thank you.
reviews.
Yeah, that's a wonderful book. That's a reference guide.
Yeah.
So that and that's also something that I love that book, and so do most people.
Was Matt your co-author already an established author himself?
No, that was his first book.
So how did you two know to go through the process of getting reviews? Because that's unusual for book one to have 100
I
written
don't think we
reviews.
had a process. I just think that at that time,
Hmm.
that was 2021, I think, and that's when apostilles were hitting. They were hitting, and they were hitting hard. Um, People didn't know about them.
Yeah.
They just didn't know about them, and
You
they
just
were.
got into the right space, the
It
right
was just the
time.
right, yeah, it was, and
Well, it's notable because I don't know if you know this, but most books in this sort of like knowledge thought leader
right,
space don't even have 20 written
yeah,
reviews. And
it's hard to do it.
I'm going to call this out because I've now seen two authors do it. Two of the people I looked at recently had less than 10
Wow,
reviews, and one of them was written by themselves, the author. Like it
wow,
had the author's name as the review. They were
wow.
writing this like glowing thing.
Yeah,
There is space on the Amazon Author Central page for a from the author. So if you want to put a little pitch or something in, like you can do
right.
that. But very awkward to have that be.
Yeah,
So to
no,
have dozens of reviews from people,
yeah,
um, that's great. I know Bill has a real large network. You have a large network, so you're
yeah.
getting the word out. Congratulations on all this. I'm
Thank you.
curious, if you had advice for an author who was writing a book to grow their business, like what would you suggest they do to?
Simple, simple, simple,
Mhm.
simple, easy to understand. People don't read. People, well, they don't. You know that.
Yeah, I know.
They read to a degree. I shouldn't say they don't read, but they read to a degree. And so if you're doing something where you want them to learn from it, then simple, simple, simple. That was one of my faults in the beginning. I used way too many words,
Mm,
and you got to keep it simple, because that's when people will really they'll really understand.
yeah,
You know, that's
that's
my biggest advice. I mean, I think you have to I think you have to know that you're going to have a way to promote it.
mm,
I mean, I don't know that you can write a book and expect it to be a success if there's no way of getting it out there. Can you?
I don't think so. My joke has been if you're writing a book for astronauts, but you can't get 5 astronauts to schedule a one-on-one Zoom call with you, I don't know why you're writing a book for astronauts.
Right. I mean, I don't I think you have to have a plan,
Yeah,
and you have to know your target.
yeah.
Who's your
And that's where the work that you're doing, Bill's doing, Laura's doing, you've all found your niche within a niche space. You're also cross promoting and supporting each other. Love
Yes.
when notaries come on the Kindle Flash sale because y'all are very organized. You're as a people.
Well, we
um,
try.
you try to be.
Try to
Very,
be. Well, you have to be.
yeah, of course. That's what
I
I'm
mean,
saying. I'm kind of being facetious about it, but like, the notary's got it all under control. But love to have more of you. We had more people coming from that world into our entrepreneur space. I'm
oh,
excited to have you continue with us in the Kindle Flash sales.
me
How
too.
can people find you and follow your work, Judy?
Well, they can find me. My website is www.lawrenceinstitutefornotaries.com
Great.
or centercitynotary.com. But Lawrence Institute for Notaries is more of the apostilles and the courses.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to put the link to that. We also have your LinkedIn, your Facebook, your
Yeah.
Instagram. We have all of that and your
And I hope
books.
you'll invite me back one time when we have more people.
Oh yeah, we'll have you back for another panel for the next Kindle Flash sale. But we'll
Yeah,
have
yeah.
all the links in the show notes at bizbookpubhub.com, folks, which is also where you'll find all the archived episodes. There was hundreds and hundreds of episodes to dig into. You'll find a curated directory of experts to help you wherever you are in your author journey. Our free virtual networking events. Every month we've got something going on, and our Kindle Flash sale, so you can join Judy and I at a future one. Judy, thank you so much for this conversation. It's
Robbie,
been
I
really
think
great.
everybody should thank you for all that you do for all of the authors and all of us to help us grow. People like you are just invaluable and hard to find.
I feel like we're cut from the same cloth. We're
We
educating in our
are.
space,
We
right?
are.
Like
We are.
sees like and appreciates it.
Let me know
Thank you
what
so
I can
much, Judy.
do, and I'll talk with you soon.
Cheers.